All right. So, what is going on, future millionaires? We have a special treat today. I have the VP of brand from iTrustCapital, who is a partner of the channel, who I've had the pleasure of working with. I had the pleasure of talking with behind the scenes. And for those of you that kind of want some tips and tricks, or just kind of want to understand the whole process of just how do you save on crypto taxes, this is going to be the live stream for you. And so I have Anthony Bertolino coming on the stream today. And so Anthony, how are you today? How are you doing? Welcome to the
What
stream.
is
I want to
up?
say thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. It's always good to talk to you. Good to see your community for the first time and happy to be here. Life's good.
Yeah, thank you. I know you've been super busy, super busy. We've been able to talk a little bit through email and stuff like that. And so I want to wait just a little bit for a few more people to kind of come onto the stream. If you are in the live stream today, I want to say thanks for coming in. Also, let us know how our quality is and audio is as well, just to give us a quick rain check before we kind of get going.
Check, check, Mike, check.
And
Yeah,
I
but
see.
happy to be here, man. And how's life? How's everything going? I know crypto's a little turbulent, but short-term games and we're playing the long-term games, right?
Absolutely, man. Life has been great, man. And one of the new statements I kind of go by is just, I'm doing YouTube and doing other things have allowed me to live a life I haven't been able to live before. However, I'm
Hmm.
still striving for that life that I truly want. And so
There you
definitely
go.
in a position I haven't been before. So I'm grateful, man.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you're grinding now, you're doing great things, and the 5, 10 year vision is much, much bigger. So on to bigger and better, but still living good in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so, for those people that may just be unaware of iTrustCapital, from my understanding, it's of course, the go-to place, but the number one crypto IRA in America right now, kind of valued around 1.3 billion. And we're going to get into, the $125 million fund. But first, let's briefly kind of talk about what is iTrustCapital, and then from that standpoint, how does one get started, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So iTrust Capital was kind of born out of the world that, people are investing in crypto, but every time they make a trade, they have to pay taxes, right? We've all faced this. You make a bunch of money and you need to switch from, say, recently like Luna to ETH. Luna did so well, I want to move it to ETH. And then you got to give away 20, 30, 40, 50% for the government just because you might want to change your portfolio, right? And so our founders saw this problem early on and they said, hey, how can we address the problem of crypto investing and the tax burden that investors face? And the answer is IRAs. So IRAs are individual retirement accounts created by the government many years ago to essentially incentivize Americans to invest, and thus they gave them tax benefits. So if you're going to invest your money, hey, we'll give you tax benefits. That's what the government said. And so iTrustCapital, we came in and we married cryptocurrency and IRAs to build what is the crypto IRA industry. So iTrustCapital, we're the clear market leader. More than 2 billion of assets on our platform. Thousands of clients. Tens of thousands of clients. And essentially, for anyone who's in the U.S., you like crypto. Well, now there's a way to invest with tax benefits. So, happy to be here. Happy to go over it and some of our big news as well.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I think is very important as well, Anthony, is the fact that you guys take it extremely serious with top crypto custodians. And so, can you kind of talk about that? You guys acquire Coinbase custody, Fireblocks, Curve. And so, can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so those are two of our key partners. Obviously, when people are investing in crypto, they kind of go two routes. They either go the self-custody route and they learn about private keys and they learn about all that security and then they store it themselves. Other people typically will just kind of leave it on an exchange. And so for the people who don't want to deal with cryptography and private keys, etc., iTrustCapital and your crypto IRA, the security is already taken care of for you, right? So it's deep cold storage through one of these two providers. Coinbase Custody, obviously a name that everyone recognizes, arguably the leader in cold storage for the whole industry. And then Fireblocks, this is one of our new partners. They're a leader in security as well, and they have some interesting technology advantages that allows for some like interacting with the blockchain, maybe in the future, things like staking and lending, but without us giving up any of that security. And so we take security as a main priority. And for clients, it's you log in and you keep your password and your email and you're kind of good to go. You don't need to worry about that cryptography and losing your private keys or anything. It's all taken care of.
And the reason why I thought that was so big is because when you're talking about an IRA, you have to have some type of a long-term strategy, right? And so I think that was very important because for a user as myself, if I'm gonna, trust a company to, leave my assets with definitely for a top growing asset, class, which is crypto, how do I trust them, right? And you guys have put it out there, for the world and for the community of who you guys trust. And then also, don't they have some type of a insurance feature as well to these custody plans also?
Yeah, and so insurance is a really big topic in crypto. A few, whether it was 3 to 5 years ago, I've been in the industry for about 6 years now, where at first there was not really a lot of insurance. Traditional insurance companies were looking at crypto and they're like, we don't even know what crypto is. You think we're going to insure it, right? And now, 6, 7 years later, Coinbase Custody, Fireblocks, they both have these impressive insurance policies that we obviously have access to as well. So clients feel comfortable. Hey, my funds are not only in cold storage or in secure storage, but it looks like there's an insurance policy as well that can help avoid, help take care of things if there ever was issues, right? And it's just always nice to see that the industry is maturing and security is not necessarily as such a big concern anymore, especially when you're with trusted brands.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And so the main focus, right, for iTrust Capital is pretty much to bring crypto IRAs mainstream. Would you say that's correct, Anthony?
Definitely. Yeah, we kind of coined the term crypto IRA, and I would love everyone in the world, or everyone at least in the US, to at least know what it means. And it means tax-free or the tax savings on the crypto. Maybe not always tax-free, depends on the circumstances, but occasionally in Roth IRAs.
Right, right. And so say I'm a crypto investor and I have crypto on an exchange, right? That's Coinbase, Binance, or whichever. How do one get started in simplest terms?
Yeah. So what I always say is for anyone who is looking at it and they just say, hey, I mean, this sounds interesting, right? I do believe crypto is going up over the long term. Whether I pay taxes now, I know eventually I'm probably going to have to pay taxes. And if I think that this bag is going to be worth from 10K to a mil one day, I would probably like to keep that mil for myself and not have to cough up half of it to the government, right? And so, use the link in the description. I'd say poke around, do the research, submit your email, and just kind of open a free account and look around. Right now, what a lot of our clients and new clients are doing is they're looking at their Coinbases or their crypto.com or their Celsius, and they're saying, hey, some of these cryptos I bought, I'm actually in the loss. I'm in the losses right now, right? And so they're actually selling on the exchange, locking in a loss on paper, right? So it's like a tax write-off essentially. And then they're opening a crypto IRA with those dollars and buying back. So what you locked in is a capital loss, potentially get a deduction on your taxes, and then you're locking it in maybe in something like a Roth IRA, which can grow tax-free over time. And so, that's something we're seeing a lot of people do right now. I mean, I've done sort of tax loss harvesting like that as well. And if not, there's other people who might have an old 401k or an old IRA at an old job or an old bank or something. And you're just like, it's sitting there, it's getting almost no interest, almost no gains. It's not looking hot. I'd rather move that money over to a tax shelter, but still be in crypto. And so both of those options people are doing.
And so when you look at kind of the people who are taking advantage of crypto IRAs, would you say that's more so of probably the older generation compared to 20 to 30-year-olds?
That's a great question. I'd say that a large segment of our client is definitely older. And older is subjective. I'd say in that 40 to 60 age range is a decent chunk. But then there still is a lot of young people as well, that 18 to 30. And usually it's the more sophisticated 18 to 30-year-olds who are like, I'm into crypto, I know where this is going, and taxes are a real thing, and I'm not trying to lose half my gains in 5, 10, 20 years. And so
Right.
I think there was quicker adoption by the older folks because they're like, IRAs, I know what that is, I use that. And then the younger folks are like, IRAs, I got to dig in here. And then pretty soon they're like, I can't not do this, right? I hear that a lot of the time. Someone who's like 25-year-old investing and they're like, man, if I could have some tax-free crypto over the long term, that sounds like a match made in heaven.
I would agree. I would agree. And one thing I want to touch on as well is the fact that you guys have been able to add so many different cryptos in a short amount of time. So, kind of talk about that. I think it's what 26 total currently that you guys have.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Definitely in the high 20s. We just recently added Decentraland about a week ago. So obviously Mana, Decentraland, that allows people to get exposure to the sort of metaverse, the crypto gaming economy. I'm a big fan of the metaverse project. They've been around a long time. They were building in the bear market and they're still here kind of dominating. And recently Avalanche as well. We just listed Avalanche on Monday. So it's been about a week. Obviously, this is another layer one blockchain that's super scalable, built using the Ethereum virtual machine. And so we do really like to listen to our community. There's certain assets they want, as long as it sort of lists the sort of legal compliance listing criteria that our legal team has, then we're going to get it on the platform. If it has liquidity, if it has storage, if it hits all these markers, and we really want to provide what the clients want. And I think definitely more asset listings to come, as well as more features.
For sure, for sure. And so essentially, can a business start up an IRA if they wanted to, or would this only be for personal?
Yeah, so we also offer something called a SEP IRA, and that's essentially for someone who runs a business or is self-employed. If you have a traditional or a Roth IRA, you can actually also open a SEP IRA, where with a traditional or a Roth, you got to pick one. But let's say, okay, I picked a Roth. I got a Roth IRA. I'm building it up. If you're a business owner or self-employed, you can also open a SEP. So it gives you another area to sort of build upon those tax advantage cryptos. And so, yeah, SEPs, we do offer those. We don't yet offer 401ks. That's an interesting market. That's a different sort of dynamic, but definitely SEP IRAs. I have one myself, and I think they're great.
And so, in simplest terms, if someone wanted to say, "Hey, Anthony, what's the difference between, traditional compared to Roth, right? Traditional in my terms, you kind of pay taxes now, whereas a Roth, you don't pay tax. I mean, you pay. I had it vice versa. Traditional, you
Mm-hmm.
pay taxes basically later, and then a Roth, you pay it now because the Roth is actually able to grow completely tax free, long as you're staying within the certain regulations. Whereas with a traditional, you get a tax break, but you do actually have to pay taxes on those capital gains at a later time when you go to start pulling.
Perfect. Yep, that's a perfect explanation. The traditional IRA is for people who want a tax break now, maybe a small tax write-off in certain circumstances, and then
Hmm.
you still can trade tax-free, self-trade on the platform, and then when you retire, you typically pay income tax from distributions. The Roth IRA is you put in money now, you get no tax write-off, so it's just money you've already paid taxes on, probably in your bank account. You
Right.
put that in, and then it grow. You can still trade tax-free, and then when you retire, it's also tax-free. Now, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. There's nuances to IRAs. People should usually speak with their financial advisor for a tax plan, but that's a general rule of thumb. Traditional IRA versus Roth IRA. I think around 65 to 70% of our clients are doing Roth IRAs currently, but it's usually just up to individual circumstances. I mean, I was doing IRAs for a long time until I was above the sort of the income requirements. So that's another thing. Roth IRAs, they have this modified adjusted gross income, where if you make too much money, you're not able to do a Roth, but there's still something called a backdoor method, which we also offer as well. So traditional IRA, it's not as easy as, hey, I'm going to Coinbase and I'm just buying crypto. You got to spend a little time figuring it out, maybe talk to your advisor or do some good research yourself. But then once you do, you're kind of good, 5, 10,
Right.
20 years. You don't got to choose a Roth IRA every year. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure, for sure. And so, one thing before we kind of get into the $125 million fund, I want to kind of talk about the pricing that you guys recently changed, which I think is tremendous. Let me make sure you guys can see this as well. All right, here we go. And so we could see that it used to be there was like a 29.99, 29.95 monthly fee, and you guys completely took that away, which I think was incredible. Because one thing I found was a benefit. If you look at your traditional IRAs, there's a monthly fee, and so even if you're not investing that month, you still have to typically pay, right? Whereas with iTrustCapital, say you're investing every other month, or let's just say you're not investing at all at this time, you're not paying anything, and you guys are still securing our assets. So kind of talk about that for us, Anthony.
Yes. So we did start out with a monthly fee, 29.95, and that was to cover that, institutional cold storage we have, the amazing customer service that we have, a lot of the say paperwork and the recording and stuff that we do. But we did hear from a lot of clients. They say, "Hey, I just want to open up an account with a minimum. I want to put in a couple $1,000 and I do want these tax advantages, but I don't want to pay $30 a month. So we went back, we looked at, essentially ran the numbers, and we said, hey, we actually can remove this monthly fee. We think it's the right strategy. It's going to help us grow faster. It's truly a better product for our clients. They want it. We want to give you what you want. We remove monthly fees. Same great cold storage, same great security, same great customer experience with no monthly fee. And so when most people look at their regular retirement accounts outside of iTrustCapital, Fidelity, Schwab, etc., they're usually paying, well, they're almost always paying fees. There's always fees, but a lot of times it's hidden inside of a mutual fund or inside of an ETF where they say, hey, I got my stocks over there and it's actually free. Well, it kind of feels like it's free, but you should read that report. That mutual fund, hedge fund manager probably makes like 3% a year off of that fund, and it's kind of buried in there. So we're the opposite. We are upfront. It's 1% per trade. It was $29.95 a month. There is fees. You got to pay them, but with their low fees, we swiped away the monthly fee. It's 1% per trade right now. Still cheaper than Coinbase. Typically when I make trades on Coinbase, it's about 1.5%. And as you mentioned, you can open it up. You could deposit some money, maybe make a trade. And if you leave for a year or two, there's no monthly fee. You'll come back and trade whenever you'd like, self-trade on the platform, but you don't have to worry about it, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so let's kind of get into the big news that's happened, right? The $125 million fund. I definitely have one question I want to ask. However, you may answer it for me. And so I kind of want to let you kind of break that in. And so what's all this about? I know it has to do with new acquisitions, expanding the company as far as products, services, everything. And so kind of talk to us about that.
Exactly. So we work with a partner, Left Lane Capital, a few other strategic partners, and this is pretty common for rapidly growing businesses who are really changing a certain industry. And partners will want to strategically say, "Hey, I want to come on board. We want to invest money in the company." And then we, iTrustCapital, we use that money to do what we consider to be the next phase of our growth, right? Investing more into marketing, getting iTrustCapital and crypto IRAs to where they have never been before. You're going to see us on TV, you're going to see us on radio, and the world of crypto plus tax advantages, man, I want everyone to at least know that exists, right? So we invest more into marketing, invest more into our community. Another one is obviously building in a big business and doing something as innovative as crypto IRAs. We need to have amazing, talented humans. And so we're going to be doing a lot of hiring across almost every single vertical you can imagine, whether it's accounting to marketing to product to development, everything. We're hiring aggressively because we need amazing people to make amazing things happen. And so what that finally comes to is amazing products, right? We're getting the brand out there, we're getting great people, and we're going to continue to build great products. I really feel that Left Lane Capital and this $125 million raise is kind of iTrustCapital's coming out party. Like people like you were kind of an early adopter. Some of your community members, you've known about crypto IRA for a while, but now the world's going to know about crypto IRAs and iTrustCapital, and you've been along for the whole ride. So we appreciate you.
Man, absolutely appreciate you all as well. And so let me ask you this, and I know you can only speak on so much. Within this $125 million fund, I know at some point iTrustCapital have hinted to that they want to try to do this at some point. Is any way we're going to be able to see staking, integrated into iTrustCapital?
Yeah, it's so funny. I think that's probably the question I get asked the most right now. Staking is at the top of our minds. We are definitely in the building process. Clients, the first iteration, I think, of crypto IRAs was where you have an account and you could trade on the platform, self-trade, and there's tax benefits. But then everyone who's been in crypto, you're like, well, hey, there's some other stuff in crypto that I like to do. Maybe I can get those with tax advantages. And so we're hard at work on the legal side. There's never been a crypto IRA with staking before. And on the product side, building something for the first time in the world is a little bit hard as well. So we're working on it. A lot of amazing things to come in 22. This capital is definitely helping us. Our great team, great partners, and great community. We always like to hear what people want. Staking is definitely at the top of our minds, and we're here to deliver that as soon as possible.
Awesome. Just to kind of recap, so the main three focuses of this $125 million fund, Anthony, is number one, just enhancing the overall awareness and presence of iTrustCapital. Number two, in-housing, as far as adding new people to the company to be able to do more things. You know what I mean? As far as expanding into other countries, being able to deal with more customer service things, all of that good stuff. And then the third aspect is just figuring out the supply and demand of what the customers of iTrustCapital want the most, which will open up, new products and services. Is that kind of on the lines of what's happening here?
100%. You could have said it better yourself. I need to take that clip, and that could be our commercial right there. Best iTrust commercial I've ever heard.
You could use it, man.
Thank you.
But yeah, so there's a couple questions. I know we're running a little short on time. I know you're a busy man. There's a couple questions here in the comments that I want to kind of get to. Do you have a couple minutes on your time, Anthony?
Yeah. We always want to help the community with their questions. I hate people having something stuck and they don't know the answer to it.
Yeah. And so briefly here, Doodle the Beagle says, any plans to add limit orders or stop orders?
Yeah, so that's another one we get asked very, very, very frequently. I'd say orders that are essentially you set in advance according to certain parameters, things like limit orders, things like stop orders. There's a lot of different names and there's kind of nuances around that. But essentially of like, hey, if this price goes to this, I hope my trade goes through and I want to preset that. We are definitely working on it. I don't know if it's called limit orders in this context. There's different names, right? Because there's different types of trades.
Right.
But being able to preset parameters like limit orders to execute on the platform, that's a feature we're actually hoping to roll out very soon. That's the most common question asked after staking and is also in development and testing. I don't know when it comes live, but we're hoping to release it very soon. So it's not just a want to have, it is coming.
All right, so this question is so he says, can I transfer my TSP to iTrust? I have to quit first, or can I still keep my job?
Yes. Well, so maybe I shouldn't say yes. It's a maybe. Yes, I understand the question. Maybe you can do it. So TSPs obviously are a little different than 401ks, typically from like military, sometimes some private education, things like that. Usually there's one thing that has to happen. You either have left the employer, like you mentioned, or you are over the age of, I think it's 55. You can look that up, what I always say is that the first stop is head to iTrustCapital.com and you can always schedule a call and talk to our team, or go to your HR, whoever manages the TSP, and just say, hey, can I roll this over? I want to go put it into an IRA instead of a TSP. It's always worth asking whether it's our team or the TSP provider. Hopefully there's some flexibility for you there. Over the long term, there is, maybe not right now.
Awesome. Thanks for answering that. And so anyone want to get a hold of iTrustCapital, far as, of course, you can go to iTrustCapital.com, which we show through the live stream, but say they want to maybe get a hold to the company, far as like socials. How will we get a hold to them? And I'm going to go ahead and click to your Twitter here as well here in a second.
Yeah. So at iTrustCapital, we're always there active. You're trying to speak to our community. We really read all the comments. So if you ever send us a DM or if you ever tag us or if you ever reply, we're always reading those. We don't reply to all of them. We're incredibly swamped. We're actually looking for a social media manager right now. Now we're quite picky. So if you know about crypto culture and if you got fire memes, hit me up and maybe we can have a chat. But reach out to us. We have multiple people always looking at the socials. And me personally, I'm at iDecentralized. If you're ever looking for Ethereum, DeFi content, stuff like that. And you'll hear of a little more from us soon on socials. We might be doing a giveaway with Mike, maybe giving away some Bitcoin Miami tickets. So you'll hear about that soon.
So stay tuned. So Anthony, before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like the community to know about iTrustCapital that maybe we overlooked or maybe you just wanted to touch on again briefly?
No, I'd say we're here. We're not going anywhere. Partners like you are what makes dreams come true. And tax advantages plus crypto is the future that I love.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Remember, iTrustCapital is bringing crypto mainstream. If you do want to check it out, I didn't really mention it, but if it's your first time checking it out, you can actually get $100 free in Bitcoin. So the link is in the description. Check that out. Anthony, thanks for coming on the channel, man. Have a great rest of the day.
Appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.